many people are scrambling to create New Year's resolutions. The main issue here is the whole premise of New Year, New Me. When who we are as people isn't likely to change just because of the dawn of a new year. Who we are is how we view the self. And often we have an image of this future self that we wish to achieve, but we make it too vastly and starkly different than our current self. A while ago, a friend of mine said, "New day, new me." And it made me think of how the whole idea of New Year, New Me and all that, coming of a new year, changing who we are is ultimately holding us back. Each day is a new life to create who we are. We shouldn't have to wait a whole year, months, or even a week to even get our initial premises and ideas about who we want to be out. But the whole idea of resolutions, I feel, is a great thing. However, the way at which we go about making them is the main issue. It's a great thing, but we tend to create a vast distance and difference between our resolution and our current self. We also don't imagine any steps that need to be taken in order to achieve these goals. We treat them as if they are distant and things that we won't achieve almost. Our goals and aspirations should be valued and evaluated all the time, not just at the dawn of a new year. And the goals we wish to create should have a gradual application rather than an instant gratification or something that we didn't even think of how we're going to achieve. It's those who aim to run in a day without ever being able to walk that never will. We have to be mindful of our own place and standing and how we are relative to our own goals, and be realistic enough to determine whether or not these goals are achievable or whether or not we need to take action or steps to get to that goal. A lot of us write down our resolutions and write down our goals and just expect them to happen just because we wrote them down. It takes conscious effort and constant applications of your constant motivation and discipline to achieve these kinds of things that you wish to achieve. We place what we desire in the uncertainty of the future and fail to give ourselves opportunity while in the present. The present moment is all that tends to be, and who we are right now is the only version of ourselves that we have control over. The past is the past and the future has yet to come. Who we were in the past ultimately cannot change, not even in terms of perspective. To change who we are in terms of our mental image can only happen now and later on. What has happened, and the future is yet to be. Our goals and resolutions shouldn't need a new year to develop some type of stimulation. They should be things we're constantly striving for, because at the dawn of New Year's, we tend to bombard ourselves with aspiration. We tend to pick up a bunch of things and instill an idea in our heads that we can achieve pretty much anything. And that's not necessarily incorrect. However, to bombard yourself with so many things at once is going to make all of them that much more difficult to achieve. You can't put 1,000 things on your plate and expect to eat them all in the same second. It's in the same way the law of attraction works. We need to have our desires set in stone and also have applications for them, a reason or way at which for them to be achieved rather than them just being stated. We need to also tune ourselves in with this goal. Do things that would lead you to the goal rather than just stating and feeling as if you should have this goal achieved. How are you going to plan to lose 30 pounds and you never work out a diet? It doesn't make any sense. We have to make these goals and desires attainable first in our minds. We have to first imagine what we want, and then imagine ourselves with it. Then imagine the feeling that we would have with it, and hold on and chase that feeling through doing little things step by step that lead you to your goal. have fun during the process, not just the end point. Because I think we're so end point oriented. The short term gratification of social media and this modern day culture is ultimately limiting how at which we present our goals and aspirations. We need to be more present thinking, more I'm doing this now and it feels good rather than this doesn't feel good now, I'll feel good when I have it. The Puritan work ethic, like sacrificing the now for a better later, is in terms of how you should go towards your goals. They're not saying that you can't enjoy part of the sacrifice. They're saying that ultimately what you're trying to achieve needs sacrifices in order to be achieved. We must be smart enough to know our own capabilities. Note that things typically are both easy and hard, and the things at which we need to achieve need to have that sort of balance as well. And treat yourself as if these things are already in your possession, otherwise you're going to feel as if you'll never have them. You'll never know once you have them either. We need to be mindful of when our goals are truly achieved, because some things just, kind of loom over us. I've heard stories my friends have said, and I've seen videos of people talking about their resolutions from like last year, and they were looking over them and like, oh, I achieved some of this stuff. Some of this stuff has been achieved, and I hadn't even, taken the time to appreciate my own success. And the lack of gratitude overall that we have is definitely a negative thing. But the lack of gratitude that we have for ourselves is the thing that's holding us back most of all. We achieve so much on a daily basis that we fail to recognize. And we also fail to, posit enough belief in ourselves to achieve what we want. A lot of us don't, succeed in our New Year's resolutions because parts of us don't believe that we can, or parts of us don't believe that what we're striving for is worth ourselves. We don't think that we're worth it. When what we should do is focus so much on the self, focus so much on building yourself up and who you are in your subconscious and your consciousness, that you no longer need to have like a constant application to achieve what you want. What you want will just come because that's the type of person you are, and that's what you're going to end up attracting. Many battles are won before people even start fighting. You have to assess the reality of your goal, your resolution. Posit so much reality within it that you know it's bound to be achieved no matter what. It's because we think that these things are iffy, and we kind of throw curveballs at ourselves and act as if these goals of ours eventually won't be achieved, or it's more so like if it happens, it happens. Those aren't really goals and resolutions then. Note steps that will need to be taken to allow for a more comfortable growth. Don't try to see better in the dark by putting on glasses. Just turn on the light. A lot of us are negligent to how we can achieve what we want to. And a lot of this has to do with, who we are as people and how we view that. A lot of us want to improve ourselves, but none of us want to do the things that we need to do to improve. None of us take that conscious effort to stop, certain actions and mannerisms and habits and things that ultimately we know hold us back. Instead, we let them happen and then get on ourselves about it and cycle it back through with more ambition. But where does that ambition go? We don't do anything with it. So the implication here is to work on yourself at all times, but definitely use the new year to, gather all your thoughts and aspirations and what you want for the year. But make sure you're making it detailed enough that you're making sure you get what you want for the day, for the week. Otherwise, your growth is going to only be able to be measured at the end of the year, and you'll never truly know where you are and where you stand.